We were coming off a national championship win, but we lost our star QB to the draft. So we were opening up the year at number 15 Miami with a new quarterback, and that guy was sophomore Quentin Brown. On their first drive, the Hurricanes went for it on 4th down, and that turned into 7, but Quentin Brown gave it to senior running back Nathan Ballard on the halfback screen, and he took it all the way to the house to tie up the game. There was a reason he was on the Heisman watch list, as Quentin Brown continued to feed him on screen plays, which kept turning into huge gains, and we were moving the ball effortlessly down the field. It was the Nathan Ballard show, and everyone else was just invited to watch. Despite Miami's best efforts to take down the reigning national champions, the Commodore offense was just on another level. Quentin Brown made a couple questionable reads, but Brian Lumpkin still found a way to locate the ball in the air and catch it. He set a school record on that play, and Nathan Ballard ran in for his 4th touchdown of the game, so we left Miami with a huge win. Our Week 2 game was a rematch of last year's college football playoff semifinals, and we couldn't have asked for a better start, as Nathan Ballard outran the entire Mountaineers defense on the first play of the game. And when they tried to do the same thing to us, our defense shut it down. I thought we were going to have a down year, but winning the SEC seemed like a real possibility with a player like Nathan Ballard on the roster, as he continued to dominate. We took a 32-point lead right before the half, and there was nothing West Virginia could do to get back into the game. Nathan Ballard finished with 6 touchdowns, but going into our rivalry game at Ole Miss, we had to maintain our momentum if we wanted to keep winning. And that's exactly what we did on our first drive. However, Chris Stewart and the Rebels were able to respond right back at the start of the second quarter. Quentin Brown was proving he was no regular quarterback, as he made this running throw to Demarius Green, but later in that drive, he turned the ball over on this terribly inaccurate throw, and by midway through the third quarter, we would fall 2 touchdowns behind on the Rebels after 3 Vanderbilt defenders just forgot how to tackle. Quentin Brown was able to bounce back, and he made an incredible play to find the freshman in the end zone, and to start the fourth quarter, Nathan Ballard ran it in. A few minutes later, it was a tie game, we had the ball, and we wanted to run out the clock, so we ran down the rest of it, and Terrence Carpenter kicked the game winner. We were taking on an undefeated Auburn at home, and Nathan Ballard was making his mark on the game from the start. Midway through the first quarter, tight end Ian Bones put us up 14 with this catch, and we were completely dominating the Tigers. There was nothing they could do, and Quentin Brown found sophomore wide receiver Demarius Green to put us up 35 at the end of the third quarter. However, after the backups blew our huge lead, I had to put the starters back in the game, and we stayed undefeated. We were playing Alabama, and if we wanted to make the college football playoffs, this was a must-win game. Fortunately, we got into the end zone first, but the Crimson Tide responded right back with this touchdown throw. And then they scored another, so Brian Caldwell finally appeared for us and caught a touchdown. Near the end of the half, we got the huge stop on 4th down, which led to a last-second field goal, but Terrence Carpenter couldn't hit it. Alabama didn't learn from earlier in the game, failing another 4th down conversion, and we went up 4 points in the fourth quarter. We had a chance to run out the clock, but after Nathan Ballard picked up the first down, he was shoved backwards and tackled way behind the line of scrimmage, so we had to come out and stop the Crimson Tide one last time. Even though Bama got close to scoring, Leslie Richardson ended the game with this clutch interception, and we were 5-0. Going into week 7, we were playing against Western Kentucky at home, and it was supposed to be an easy win for us. Senior Nathan Ballard started the game off with 2 early touchdowns, and then at the end of the first quarter, he used his breakaway speed to accelerate around the Hilltoppers defense and take it 58 yards all the way to the house. I honestly couldn't believe how dominant our team was, as the whole offensive line perfectly blocked for Nathan Ballard so he could score another touchdown. And it was honestly just too easy for him. He was making his case to be the best running back to ever play for the Vanderbilt Commodores, and he ran in for his 7th total touchdown of the game. Nathan Ballard was clearly the Heisman favorite, and he was on pace to break Barry Sanders' 37 touchdowns in a season record. Nathan Ballard started off hot against Georgia, and then Quentin Brown found senior Brian Lumpkin to put us up 14. Early in the second quarter, Brian Caldwell used his quick short legs to accelerate past the Bulldog defense and get into the end zone. And on the next drive, we went up 28. By the fourth quarter, we had blown our lead and Georgia was just 1 possession behind, but that didn't matter because we had the best running back in college football, and he put the game away. Once again, he had over 200 yards, but we were off to a terrible start against the Cox when we played at South Carolina. With 3 minutes left in the second quarter, we got within 1 possession. However, right before halftime, South Carolina managed to get into the end zone, so we were in a lot of trouble. But before the second half starts, I have to tell you all about Underdog Fantasy. There's a best ball option where you could win up to $2 million, and all you have to do is draft a team and hope for the best. This was the team that I drafted, and I think I have a really solid receiver receiving corps, so hopefully I can win some of those great cash prizes. You can also join fantasy football money leagues with entry fees such as $3, $10, $100, and more. So what are you waiting for? Go to the first link in my description or download Underdog Fantasy and use code Bordeaux. They'll match your first deposit up to $100, and I can't wait to see you all on there. Anyway, Nathan Ballard started the quarter with a touchdown, and then at the end of the quarter, Brian Caldwell made a catch in the end zone to bring us within 3. However, no matter what they did, our defense wasn't able to get a stop, and the Gamecocks were able to break this tackle and run into the end zone on the next play. But our undefeated season wasn't over yet, as Brian Caldwell got open for another touchdown, and all we needed was a stop on defense, but we weren't able to get that, so we ended up losing on the road. It felt like the SEC East was flipped, but I knew that if we won, we'd make the playoffs, and we were playing at the Swamp. Nathan Ballard started the game off by getting into the end zone, and he continued to carry us as he took this simple run 15 yards to the house. But Florida took the lead on us right before halftime. However, everything changed when cornerback Anthony Lane picked off the Gators quarterback and took it all the way back for the wild turnaround and amazing pick six. From there, we were able to run away with the game, and we had bounced back against the Gators. If we beat Kentucky at home, we would clinch a spot in the SEC championship, and it was crucial we did that so we could make the playoffs. By the fourth quarter, it was a tie game, but Nathan Ballard was able to break free and outrun the entire Wildcat defense. I thought we were going to stop Kentucky on fourth down here, but instead, Jared Smith mossed our safety and tied up the game. But we had a plan to run out the clock and come out on top. However, when Brian Lumpkin burned the corner covering him, Quentin Brown had no choice but to hit him in stride, and so Kentucky had a chance to tie it up at the end of the game, but they failed. This was the best start we could have possibly had against our biggest rivals, as kick returner and cornerback Scott Wood took the opening kickoff 105 yards to the house. After the Volunteers went down and scored, Scott Wood was off to the races again, and he outran the entire Tennessee defense for a 103-yard kick return touchdown. By the end of the first half, Scott Wood was our best source of offense, and after Tennessee got into the end zone, I wasn't even concerned because it was Scott Wood time, but he couldn't go 3 for 3. Fortunately, we have Nathan Ballard, and he took us all the way down the field and rushed in to put us up 10. By midway through the fourth, our offense had come alive, and we took down our rivals. Nathan Ballard needed 7 more touchdowns to break Barry Sanders' record, and he was on pace to break it. But we would have to make the playoffs for that to happen, and it wasn't looking good against Oklahoma. However, Nathan Ballard was dominating, and he was keeping us in it. Our defense wasn't playing great, but Quentin Brown was, as he connected with Demarius Green for 6. After we scored again, the Sooners went down, and somehow Tony Wright managed to fight into the end zone on this play. But if we could pick up the first down here, we could run out the clock, and Quentin Brown got it done for us. Nathan Ballard was incredible, and we were pretty much a lock for the playoffs. The SEC championship was set, and Nathan Ballard started it off with a 10-yard touchdown run, but Missouri responded right back. And then we did the same thing. With 2 minutes left in the half, Nathan Ballard scored again, and then he did it. He broke Barry Sanders' record. We had the greatest college football running back of all time, and we won the SEC championship with ease. Obviously, Nathan Ballard won the Heisman, along with 3 other awards, and we made the college football playoffs. Anthony Evans won the Remington, Brad Gray won the Lombardi, and Leslie Richardson won the Thorpe. This was the best possible start we could have had to the college football playoffs, as Heisman winner Nathan Ballard took this halfback screen 55 yards to the house on our first offensive snap. Midway through the first, Blumpkin routed up the Utah corner, and we went into the half up 14. Brian Lumpkin was having an amazing game against Utah, as he scored his second touchdown of the game, and Nathan Ballard was continuing to dominate every team he played against. We ended up winning by 14, and Minnesota took down Michigan. Our match was set for the big game, but first, I took a look at how well Quentin Brown played. Also, Nathan Ballard finished with 40 rushing touchdowns, and Brian Lumpkin finished his senior year as our only 1,000-yard receiver. The national championship started on a bad note, as Quentin Brown threw this clueless interception, and then Minnesota used their great field position to get into the end zone first. However, Quentin Brown drove us all the way down the field to tie it, and on the next drive, Nathan Ballard gave us the lead. After our defense locked up, Scott Wood became prime Deshaun Jackson, and he decided to turn on the burners as he took this punt 83 yards to the house with nobody coming close to catching him. Then we took a 28-point lead with this touchdown, and after this Demarius Green catch, it was clear the game was over. We had won back-to-back national championships, and this was most likely going to be the end of the Vanderbilt dynasty, but what should happen next?